thing that you need to do after the cover letter?
Resume.
Corrections.
It's you guys' order.
Got the mail. Find somebody to send it to.
Wherever it goes.
No. So, okay, after you've had the interview, what do you need to do?
Contact them.
Contact.
Like a thank you letter.
Thank you note and contact.
Vincent, how soon do you need to write that thank you letter?
The next day.
After the interview.
I have no idea.
None?
I mean, I would try to, me personally, I would try to get it to him in 1 or 2 days.
Sabrina, you said the next day? Okay, so, guys,
Within a week.
oh no.
That's too long.
It's too long. In today's electronic age, you really have no excuse. How long does it take to write a thank you letter? Not long. We really want to see thank you letters written and sent within 24 hours.
Okay.
Especially if you interview with them on a Friday.
You would have had like
Yeah. So you really want to try to get thank you letters written within 24 hours. Does anyone have any questions?
So that they remember.
Okay. So, Sheila, what did you just say? Not Sheila.
I didn't say anything.
Not Sheila.
Marcello.
Well, okay. So, one of the most important things about the cover letter is that it's going to give them the opportunity to remember you, right? It's going to make you stand out. So if you're a recruiter, you're probably interviewing a lot of people for this job, right? So you want to take into account anything that you've connected with the person on. So what I do when I go into an interview, I always bring a notebook with me and a pen. I'll literally jot down during the interview, I'll take notes because you want to take notes as well as the interviewer is going to be taking notes on you, but you want to take some notes on them because you're going to have questions, right? You always are going to go to an interview with at least 1 or 2 questions prepared, and hopefully you're going to have more because.
So, not to cut you off, so
No.
Will one of the questions be for their, we already have taken it there. Suppose we don't have like their email address, so we're supposed to always make sure we have their correct email address.
Yeah. So we're gonna do a whole class on interviewing next week. But one of the things you always want to ask for is their business card because it ensures that you have correct spelling of their name,
Okay.
their position title. Just add it to your file. But I would always encourage you guys to ask for a business card. Because the correct spelling is really important. But then whenever I go on an interview, I'll bring a notebook with me and I'll make some notes about the person who's interviewing me. Now, if you interview with 3 people, how many thank you letters are you going to write?
3. No.
Yeah. 3 separate thank you letters. A lot of people will write 1 thank you letter and send it to all 3 people. You want to get a business card for each person that you meet with. So if you meet with 3 different people, make sure that you ask for their business cards. If you don't, then you can go on the website most likely or call and get their email address. But in today's electronic age, you have no excuse not to write a thank you letter within 24 hours. And, to have the correct spelling and all that. It's really important because the thank you letter, obviously the whole process is important, but the thank you letter is going to help you stand out. And the thank you letter, you can write a thank you letter, say the interview, sometimes you finish an interview and you're like, oh, if only I had mentioned this or that. So the thank you letter is that opportunity for you to reach out to the person again and maybe mention that lightly. Mention that experience, okay? So there is a template on page 31. Can everyone turn to page 31 in their book?
31.
Yeah. say thank you letter template, page 30, I'm sorry, page 30. Alright, so see how there's all that information about the person's contact information? Do you see that? I want you to take your pen and cross it out. Because if you're writing an email, you don't need to have all that information.
The name, street and stuff.
Yeah, you don't need to worry about that.
Company's names.
So cross it out and write next to it, write if writing an email.
On ours.
Yes, on yours.
The file.
Okay.
Cross
Take out
out
the company
what?
name and stuff too. and
Cross out your name, street address, city, state, zip, date, name, company's name, all of that contact information. You don't need that if you're writing an email. So next to it, write no need if emailed.
Up top, up top.
Yep, no need
You don't need
if
all that.
emailed.
Put your email address.
No, if you're running an email, you don't need to give your address or their address.
It's just redundant, and you don't want to take the chance that, you know, you only have a few seconds. If they're really bombarded with work, they're going to see your name come across the screen, maybe click to open it, or maybe they have that preview screen, so they're not going to see a whole email. You want them to see the thank you part. You don't want them to see their name part, you know?
What does the word redundant mean?
Does anyone know what redundant means?
Like, not necessary.
No,
Repeat. Repeat it.
excessive.
Okay, so then there's the template. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Dear, the person's name that you interviewed with, I really appreciated you taking the time to meet with me on blank date. So if it was yesterday, you can just put in yesterday, or you can put in the date. I was especially interested, and there's a typo, so was should be lowercase, right? I was especially interested regarding your discussion of blank. So here's the point. This is why I always bring a notebook with me to an interview, because you want to take some notes so that you can write a legitimate thank you letter to the person. So, you want to note whatever you talk about. The purpose of a thank you letter, well, obviously you're thanking them, but the hidden purpose is it's an opportunity for you to stand out. It's one more touch, right? We're all about touches in the interview process. It's one more chance for you to touch that employer or that person that you interviewed with and make yourself stand out. So then you're going to talk about why, your skills are the right fit for this job. And maybe you're going to talk about something else that you've connected with the employer about. Okay? And then I'm very interested in working for you. I look forward to hearing from you. And then you put your phone number. Thank you letters are very simple, but you need to, in order for them to be simple, you need to, what? You need to be prepared, and you need to take notes during the interview, okay? You need to know what you're thanking them for. At least me. I mean, I have a bad memory, so I write things, as you guys know, considering I forgot to go meet with that girl. But, I mean, you need to write things down, or I do, to remind myself what stands out with that employer. So that's something I would encourage you guys all to do is jot down a few notes, because maybe you connect with them on, something random. You still want to take notes about that, but you also want to take notes when they tell you what the job entails, right? Who here is going to take notes during an interview? Or who has taken notes during an interview? You have learned? Good. So because taking notes, it allows you to look back on it and figure out, more details of the job and what exactly you're thanking them for.
You said you take notes on.
Sorry, hold on 1 second.
You don't think the interviewer is feel like you not there, absent-minded?
No, the interviewer is impressed. They don't want you only talking with them, they want to see that you're taking notes.
They wanna see interaction.
They want to see some interaction, but they also want to make sure that, you know, you're getting your questions answered. Because you're always going to come in with 2 questions, right?
What's the 2 questions?
One of them is what?
The business card.
Yeah, and what's another essential question?
How much money?
we making?
How much I'm gonna make?
No.
No.
You don't ask that
You do not ask that question
guys
during
been
the
paying
first
attention?
interview.
No.
That question should never be asked during a first interview.
What they look
What
at.
time frame, position, what,
What's your
Second
name again? I'm
interview,
sorry.
What about like what hours?
Oh, my name. Oh,
No.
After Joyce.
Joyce. I'm sorry, Joyce Calicera. I completely forgot your name. Say that louder, because that's 100%
what
right.
shift is available? What hours, part-time or full?
Or you said when am I gonna hear back from you? Okay, so that's the question you
Okay,
need to
put them
ask.
on the spot.
What positions are
They're
open?
gonna be like,
The
this,
time.
their favorite question is, I'll get back with you.
That's fine, but you need to ask it.
That means never.
When you
You
hear that,
need
that's
to
already
say,
Already-
you know,
life in the check.
alright, so one of the things I always ask, and we're gonna talk about this more next week, but I always ask, what are the next steps? You know, because that leaves it kind of open, but it shows that the ball's in their court. And
Yeah,
they'll tell
that
me,
is true.
and they'll tell me, you know, how many other people they're interviewing, or, so I can get a better idea.
I got a job at the Gulf Oil Refinery back in 1976. Outside in the yard of the refinery was the bin. And they kept putting me off and putting me off. They were impressed that I could at least pass the test. I mean, that's really the But they kept putting me off. Call back, call this day, call that day. I called so much that they recognized my voice.
Good, now,
And they hired me. Yeah, they hired me.
good, okay.
Yeah.
So you always want to follow up, right?
These 2 sentences.
I would say, you know, a general rule of thumb is that after the interview, so after the interview, the important thing about writing the thank you letter is it's one more touch. It's one more opportunity, because a lot, you know, it's not a good job market. Everyone else, or a lot of other people, candidates, may be writing a thank you letter, and if you don't, that's gonna knock you out.
I got, but isn't calling too much considered not being professional?
Yeah, so you have there, it's a fun
It's
line.
like, yeah,
I would typically say I wouldn't call to follow up until 2 weeks after your interview, because that allows them to, you know, if they're interviewing a lot of people, it might take a while. So I would say a rule of thumb is like call, you have to follow up, but it should probably be 2 weeks after. But that's why you want to write the thank you letter too, because it's another chance for you to reach out to them. It's also a chance for you to reach out to them. They might reply. You know, it's really exciting when they do reply and say,
no
you know,
thank you.
no, that's not exciting. But, you know, when they do reply and just say, it was so nice to meet you as well, you know, I look forward to talking to you soon. I mean, that's what you're going for. So obviously the thank you letters, just like the cover letters that we just went over, can have typos. Because this is a chance that, you know, it's kind of like the last impression. It's a lasting impression of you to that employer. So you want to make sure you mention things that you connected on that were like high level things. You can't have typos. Like that would be really, really bad. So you need to make sure that you edit or have someone else. You know, I always have my husband read my thank you letters before I send them. So have someone else read your thank you letters. See if there's something else that you can write about. Do you have to say something?
No,
Right.
I'm just prepared for rejection.
Never. So thank you letters are essential. Charlie's gonna talk about the professional references, but this is something that every single one of you guys should work on gathering between now and, you know, the end of this class. So we need you to email us these, so that we can put these on your file.
Yep.
But Charlie's gonna go over how to get professional references and how, the form that we use for you to type on. You good? Good.
Well, you are, but you shouldn't be right now. You see my point? Okay. Well, you don't need to. That's good. Alright, slideshow, show.
Yeah, she is absolutely right. Anytime you have one of these, you want to right click. See what this, so there it is, you forgot to speak.
Alright, guys. Okay, so. Professional references. These are very easy, at least if you've been in the job market before. If you haven't been in the job market before, they can be a bit trickier to come by. Ideally, a professional reference has known you for at least a year in a professional capacity. And let me just test the waters here. You can totally list family members as professional references, right?
No.
I heard differences of opinion on that.
No,
Who here says yes?
I say yes.
Oh? Why is that?
We got a big family. There's somebody in there.
No. Professional references.
As Vincent says, the name is the thing.
In the profession that you're interested in is what you mean.
Family members,
They can have businesses.
they can, but you have to work with them. Basically, these are people, to put it in common terms, that can vouch that you're a good worker or a creative thinker or a punctual person. And family, by obligation, is kind of supposed to say that about you anyway, even if
Oh,
you're
I
none of those
understand that, but
things.
you need people with title and credentials and stuff like that.
Right, but anyway, the point is, the qualifications to be a professional reference is they should know you at least a year in a work-like environment. So, for example, if you wanted to list a reference, like, say, for the Sierra Academy, Mr. Saunders, who would you list? You would list Janet Pure, right? No. No. I kind of like throwing bad ideas out. You would not list Janet. You would not list Michael Fury. You would list, like me, for example, who's worked with you for, assuming I stay here this long, a year, Or Miss Emily. If you've had a couple classes with her and that adds up to a year, you could say, Miss Emily Coder, instructor, LRI Academy.
Christine, can you write your stuff down and send use you as a reference?
One step at a time.
Question.
Make sure you use our landlord.
Do they know you professionally?
I mean, that's a business that we conduct in.
It's not business you're conducting, it's the business of living, not an actual job.
So guys, and one of the important things about professional references is, you know them in the professional setting. I probably wouldn't use my landlord because that's, I probably wouldn't. But, if you're struggling, if you don't have an extensive work history, if you're having trouble coming up with some people, then maybe you would want to consider them. The important point of references is, these are people who are going to write or say good things about you. Obviously, I'm not going to, you're not going to list your boss that just fired you, right? Because they probably don't have very positive things to say about you. So you want to make sure that the person you're listing as a reference has positive things to say about you. But what is something else? You need to reach out to every single reference and make sure that they're okay being listed as a reference. I'll tell you, if I get a phone call and I don't know I'm a reference for someone and it's out of the blue, I'm kind of pissed because I didn't expect to hear from this random employer. I don't know what to say about the person. I didn't know they were going to list me as a reference. So it's not the best place to put your reference. You know, like you want the person to have glowing things to say about you. You want them to be up to speed on what you are currently doing. So every single time, guys, every single time you list a reference, you need to reach out to them and make sure it's like a standard question is it okay if I list you as a reference? So that's why we're going over this, because you're going to have some time to reach out to references and make sure it's okay that you list them as a reference.
Mr. Vincent.
Okay, you know how I've seen some applications where it might say list your last 2 or 3 places of employment. And like you said, you might have got fired from one place or whatever. It's like, I know your past does have something to do with your future.
Right.
But if let's say a person has been fired from the last 2 jobs because of technical issues, it still wouldn't look good. Like,
That's different from a reference, though.
It's totally different.
Like, you're obligated by the conditions of, any given form, to state honestly where you last worked and for how long. That doesn't mean you use them as a reference. I mean,
Yeah.
yes, you might have
you don't
been
have
laid
to
off.
use every job, past job.
Nope.
No, the great thing about references, and I'll go over this, is you get to pick and choose the people who are the most likely to say good things about you.
Right.
You really get to choose how you're perceived when people follow up. Mr. Saunders.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm concerned about when it comes to references,
Yeah. Sorry, Mr. Saunders, go ahead.
one of the things I was concerned about when it comes to using the references is people's ringtones. Sometimes you get a pretty lengthy and crazy ringtone if the person's calling. Some people don't want to wait to that, whatever you got on there,
Yeah.
before they leave a message or whatever. So that's something that has to be taken into consideration, that the person that they will be calling doesn't have anything crazy on his ringtone.
Right. So this brings me again to selection. More than anything else, references are about who you pick. So while there might be several people, like, when I got out of college, I didn't have a whole lot of job experience. So, I listed friends who would say good things about me and, professors, stuff like that, which is great, except for my friends were idiots and had, as Mr. Somers said, really bad voicemails or bad ringtones, or were really, kind of smart asses when they answered the phones. I can't think about how many jobs I lost because I listed, my best friend from senior year. Like, oh gods. Oh, Charlie, that guy? Oh yeah, he's great. Who's this again? So, and I didn't warn them either. I didn't know anything. So, again, it comes down to choice. People who were either directly in charge of you or at your level, try not to rank and list anyone who was below you in the company you worked for. That just doesn't go so well, because what do they know? So this is about choice and
Supervisors.
yes, supervisors. And if you can't,
That's what I wanted to ask you, Charlie. Okay, my supervisors from my present to my past jobs said I've been using as references. However, now I find out that they moved to other jobs and other positions, so I don't have any professional references.
right.
So what do I do then?
The Sabrina raises a very interesting point in that sometimes you will have people say, yes, you can use me as a reference. And then you go on, life moves on, and they move to a different job, or maybe they relocate to another city with the same company. That's tricky because running them down for a reference becomes more difficult. But thankfully it's, in the age of Facebook, LinkedIn, even just the phone book for whatever city, it's not impossible to find them.
But if you know professional friends, you can get them right.
Yes, you can. My point is that even if they move, that's not the end of your struggles. They can be found.
You can always get someone new, right?
You can, but it looks better if they've known you longer. Like say, for example, let's take Miss Sabrina. Who was one of the references that you're referring to?
Lieutenant Parker, she was my supervisor there for 8 years when I
Right.
was there, but now I found out that she's no longer there. like a DON somewhere else, but I don't know where. I don't know if she left the city.
Right,
but I know
right.
she's just not at the job anymore. So
Right.
what do I do now?
So what you do is you try to do your best to find her. If you have someone like valuable, like what was her name? Matei Parker. If you have someone who's known you for 8 years, that's a great resource because they know you inside and out, in theory anyway. And so your job for collecting references would be to find that person using either the tools we give you at the Academy, like internet searches, LinkedIn, even asking, oh, did she leave a forwarding address or a contact number when she left? You know, following up like that, getting as much info as you can. The longer they've known you, the better. That speaks to your character, that you don't flake out on a job, and they will be able to give in-depth vouching or references about you. You know, so someone who's known you 8 years is a better reference than someone who you've only known for 3 months. So once you get this person and you've selected them, you think, okay, X, Y, and Z are going to be my 3 references. You have to do 3 things. First, you have to find them. It's Christina. We're going to eat that cell phone. First, you have to find them and make sure the information you have for them is accurate. There's nothing worse to an employer than you say, okay, this person's contact info is this. I'm just going to take it on faith that it stayed the same. And then the line's disconnected, or they've moved, or the company that works there now has never heard of them. So follow up. Make sure it's still valid. If it's not still valid, find a number that is. If you have a lot of trouble finding that person, like you've been trying for a couple weeks and dead ends every time, consider using someone else. Second part, once you get in contact with them, ask if it's okay for them to be your reference. There's always a very slim chance that they'll say no. It's really slim. It's like a 0.01% chance. If they've said they'd like to be a reference, that they'll retract it for any reason. But anyway, it's good manners, and you can say, yes, well, I just applied it here. You should, keep a watch out for them calling you. So, answer professional. Hello? No. Hi, this is, X, Y, and Z.
Should you ask them first before you put their name on it?
Oh, man, Mr. Vincent.
No.
Yeah. What?
Ask them first before you put their name down as a reference, or use their name first and then let them know that somebody might call.
Well, in this context, what we're going to be doing is you're going to have your references lined up first. You get all your information down, and then you call them before you ever put them down on an application. So you already have them. Like, a mark of a good reference is that you already have them memorized and you know exactly where they are and what they'll say. There should be the great rule about references is there should be absolutely no surprises whatsoever. Surprises are terrible for you in the realm of references. Okay? So we've got find them, check with them, use them. Okay, those are the 3 steps for collecting references. When you have them, you should include this information: their name, their title, address, phone number, email. All very simple stuff. If they don't have one or more of these, just put as much as you can get. Don't say, oh, because I don't have their email, I can't use them as a reference. Just say, oh, darn, they don't have an email. What a shame. Maybe I can get them to get one. All right?
A professional person would have an email.
Yes, of course. But
if a person don't even have an email, I don't even think I would use them as a reference.
That's a valid point, Mr. Vincent. But if they've known you 10 years and don't happen to believe in email, you'd be a fool to pass up a 10-year reference.
True. But she asked me why not, because, like you said, in these days of technology, a lot of people, like a lot of directors and people that do it and hire, if you walk out on Market Street right now, they like this, walking down the street, texting and emailing, and so you don't know what form they're going to get into contact with your reference.
Well, actually, yeah, that's true. Most people do prefer an electronic means of doing it. But there's always that outlier that, they don't have it, and they're your reference. Most people will have a phone number. If they don't have a phone number, then that's pushing it. Almost no one does things by actual mail these days. But still, consider the pros and cons and how long they've known you. Again, references come down to your judgment and your history. You know these people best. We don't.
What about relatives?
Stay away from relatives,
Why?
if humanly possible.
What they say about
Because it-
family? What family do to you first?
Stab you in your back.
No. The reason relatives aren't used is not because there's anything wrong with your family. It's just that relatives will tend to speak better of you than someone who's objective.
Not all of them.
And if you have someone objective speaking good things about
Well,
you,
how they gonna know it's my relative? We have if they have different last names.
right, that's true, but what if it somehow comes out like, I've known Lorraine since she was, yay high. She was such a sweet little girl when she was my niece. Oh dear, what?
Not if I warned them both. This is
Alright, look, the point is, it's just better, it's taking a risk as opposed to not taking a risk. Why would you take a risk?
I've done it before.
You're welcome to do it again, just don't tell us that. I don't know. Look,
Okay.
you can warn them, you can do that if you're really, if you're really that short on references, do it to fill a gap, but ideally, find non-relatives. I can't emphasize that enough. God, my uncle got me really fired once. Alright, so we have all the basic information. We have the 3 steps for, finding them, right?
What were the 3 steps, Charlie?
I hope you guys are taking notes on
Find
this.
the contacts.
This is your homework.
Yeah.
Find them, say, you come up with your 3 names first. Then you double check that your info for them is correct. Calling them, making sure. Then you ask them if you can use them for a reference. Everyone with me so far? And then when the actual application time comes, or when your homework is due next week, you submit them.
What, contacts?
Oh yeah,
I ain't got no contacts.
you got contacts, Vince. I see you on your cell phone. You gotta have contacts.
I'm professional contacts.
Huh? I doubt that's a lot.
No, you know what?
Got
I can use, what about, let's say I got social workers, things like that.
Yeah? Then those are good references if you don't have any others. Because they know you in a pretty good capacity.
I got case management.
Like your orchestra.
Again, you'd want to stay away from those. If you've had any job where you have a supervisor who's
I'll
likely
let
to
my
say,
OPR counselor. She don't answer the phone on the regular.
I don't know my name. That's a shame.
guys, so you're paying attention?
Yeah.
Miss Christina.
Okay, find them.
While touching up is indeed a crucial activity, I'm about to give out the homework and I know you guys would hate to miss the homework.
Line dance.
What's the homework, she asked? I'm glad you asked, guys. The homework, oh, it'll give me that look. I knew there was going to be homework.
Thank you.
I'm telling you right now. Alright, so who wants to take a guess as to what the homework's going to be? Mr. Vincent.
You want a reference?
Thank you, letter. With the
Thank
reference.
you, letter.
Right, guys, I can't put anything past you.
What? Thank you, letters and references?
No, you don't need to do thank you letters. What you do need to do is make a list of 3 references according to this format. And I can send you this if you forget it, but you should be taking notes. 3 references, non-relatives. We'll check these, so don't even think about it.
Like actually put these into play, Charlie?
Don't put them into play yet, but warn them I will use you as a reference at some point.
Good.
Yeah. Well, first is get the list of names, their information, make sure it's valid. You don't need to warn them because as far as I know, none of you are actually applying for anything. But when you apply for things, these are the people you're going to use. People you're going to be using.
So are y'all screening
You're doing
who we
fine.
call?
Excuse me?
Are y'all screening who we ask?
We're not screening, we are merely checking that it's not relatives or people who are, like landlords, cousins, whatever. We're just making sure that these are the right sort of references. We will check up that they are not relatives, though, Ms. Williams.
How you gonna do that?
We have our ways.
This is Ruben.
They gonna call?
Hey, Miss Ella. Oh no, we won't call, but we'll check on Facebook, we'll check on LinkedIn. If they're associated with you and they say family, we'll know.
What's LinkedIn?
LinkedIn is a,
Social media?
basically the professional equivalent to Facebook.
Okay.
Like Janet Fiore is on LinkedIn because she's the head of the company. We might not.
Facebook,
Don't try to pull a fast one.
Instagram.
I'm not on Facebook. I don't mess with Facebook.
Good. But still, come on.
None of it.
I'm sure you have enough references without using your family.
So if I Google that LinkedIn, that'll tell me everything.
Yeah, it would tell you more than you would know otherwise.
Okay.
All right, so everyone can tell me the homework right now. For example, Miss Small. What's the homework?
The homework is to go out and get 3 personal and 3 professional references and to tweak our cover letter and email and send an email over.
Man, I ain't hear all that. I ain't hear all that.
Wow, there seems to be some discord here. You do not need 3 personal ones, you need 3 professional references. Personal references are kind of redundant. Because,
Some places do ask for personal references.
but we're dealing with professional ones here.
Okay, right.
So
Does
you
that
want
make
them to
sense?
write, you want them to write a reference letter?
No, you're not writing, no, not writing a
No,
reference
no,
letter. You're just to collect the data and put it in this form. Alright? Make sure the contact information is correct. Make sure it's current. If you're having trouble finding them, try to find them. If you can't find them, use someone else. So that, and tweak your cover letter and prepare
I
for
got
interview.
3 references for
Oh God. This is one of the more fun assignments. You get to use the internet. You get to use, get in touch with people you wouldn't otherwise get in touch with. It's gonna be fun. It's Christina, I'll be right back.
I got a,
Yeah, sure. All right. So everyone clear on this? So everyone's clear. We're not getting personal references. We're getting professional references.
You want us to fill out enough information that it looks like it came off of a business card?
Yes, if they were, yes, that's a very good way to put it. If they handed you a business card, that should be what your reference looks like. You know, what their name is, where they work, address of where they work, phone number, email.
my insurance man.
Vincent, your another day here, another class with Vincent. I
That's
like
a
it.
professional relationship,
Yeah. All right.
right?
Quite. All right. So I'll leave you the last 10 minutes of class to start your search, and then get out of here at 12:30. Okay? Did I find what? What?
Glad and curly your mouth.
That's how you got to do it.
What?
Yeah.
What's up? Yeah, I thought so too.
Finished? Huh.
You gotta get like an exam. Yeah, I don't need no bad
What was that? What's up, Miss Kim?
Charlie,
Let me just shut off the camera. Hold on. Getting right to it. It's off. Here.
I like this. It's short.
Let's see. Hold on. Not right now. I have to get this off.